Welcome back to the channel. This is the pros and cons of every Turo vehicle you can list on the platform. I'm going to pack 6 years of experience, Turo experience, into one video. If you're new to the platform and you want to find out what is the best type of vehicle for your area, this will help. If you're a veteran Turo host that wants to grow their fleet, this will help. Let's talk about it. Let's jump right in. All right, welcome back. This is a video I've been wanting to post for a long time, and I wanted to make basically an exhaustive list of every vehicle that you could virtually host on the platform and look at each individual category, pros and cons. I'm gonna start out with, if you're a new host, the 2 simple, easy categories to start in the business, the least amount of risk. So the first category is small cars or economic cars. This is the cheapest of the cheap type of vehicles you can purchase. In this list would be Toyota Yaris's, Mazda 2s, Nissan Versa, Chevy Sonic, Chevy Spark, Honda Fit, Corollas, Civics, that kind of thing. Like the pros of this type of vehicle, right? Low costs. They work in any economy, virtually any market. They're great for long-term rentals. High ROI is a big plus. High utilization. These vehicles, get rented a lot, and so they're really are cash cows, and they can have some of the highest ROI in the business. So they're great starter vehicles. What are the cons? The cons are you're gonna get some gig workers, Uber Eats, Uber drivers, that kind of a thing. People who are going to, tend to put more miles and maybe more stains in the vehicle. The rates are gonna be fairly low. The benefit to an economy car is they're the cheapest ones to rent, right? So your daily rates are gonna be fairly low. And so you get high utilization, but the daily rates can be much lower. Next category is vans, and these 2 categories are really recession proof in the sense that doesn't matter what the economy does, people are going to need cheap rentals, and they're going to need large rentals that can carry a lot of people. So in this category, best ones are Honda Odysseys and Toyota Siennas. They're very hard to get a hold of right now, so sometimes you might have to go into the Chrysler Caravan, the Town & Country, the Pacifica, those type of vehicles. They still rent very well. A new entry to the market is the Kia Carnival. I have a Kia Carnival on the platform. It's done really well for me this past year. Pros and cons to the vans. They're needs-based, any economy, high rates, high ROI, low claim percentage. Believe it or not, those big vans really don't get damaged a lot. People are not, if they got their own families in the vehicle, they're really not usually horsing around, so to speak. So they have fairly low claim percentages. Then the cons would be lots of heavy cleaning. So these type of vans, they take a little more work. They're steady cash cows, but you're going to do a lot more cleaning, lots of crunched up Cheerios and snacks, and guests tend to put higher mileage on these vans. Usually they're going to rent them and go on longer trips like to Florida or the beach or wherever. Next category, small SUVs. The Escape, Mazda CX-5, Kia Souls are all super tried and true in the small SUV market. Some other ones would be a CRVs, RAV4s, Equinox, any of the fleet of Jeeps, which are the Patriots, Cherokee, and the Renegade. Those rent very well in different markets. These are very popular. There's lots of variety, so you can find different variety for whatever you're looking for. Typically, you can get good deals on these markets because there's so many. Every manufacturer has vehicles in this category. You can get all-wheel drive if that's important in your area, if you have a lot of snow. Turo claims are very low on these type of vehicles in the sense of damage claims because they're small vehicles. They're pretty easy to drive. They don't sit low to the ground, and they have a specific core of renters that like these vehicles. They're just very good utility vehicles. Lots of competition on Turo platforms. There's gonna be lots of mid-size, small SUVs, and you gotta make sure you purchase, for the cons, you gotta make sure you purchase the vehicle right, or you can get in trouble because it will rent, and a lot of people get upside down on these types of vehicles. Mid-size SUVs. This would be like a Volkswagen Atlas, a CX-7, Honda Pilot, those type of vehicles, Highlanders. These are typically, 5-seaters, but some of them come in 6 or 7-seaters, but they're usually super tight third rows. New to the market, the Mitsubishi Outlander. I'm a big fan of that. I have one of those on the platform. It rents well. You can actually get it for a decent price. The same pros and cons to the small SUV. Next, mid-size or large sedans. This would be Impalas, Altimas, Ford Fusion, Camry, Accord, Chargers, those categories. And the good thing about these is you get a lot of business travelers. Business travelers tend to like these big sedans, these big cars. There's less competition on the Turo platform because they just don't make a lot of these large sedans anymore. There will be competition when it comes to the rental market, like the Enterprise and so forth. These are typical tried and true vehicles for them. Some of the cons as far as the large sedans would be, because they're larger vehicles, longer vehicles, they're easy to scrape up the fronts, sometimes the back, they sit lower to the ground than an SUV, so you're going to have more claims with that. And typically, if you're going to buy a vehicle for this category, you want it to be unique. You don't want it to be the same thing they have at the typical rental fleet. So some of the good ones like this would be something like a Camry or Accord with like the red seats. I've seen a lot of these Camrys with the white out exterior or silver out exterior with red leather seats, something to make the vehicle stand out, and you can do well with that category. Next, convertibles. So typical, some popular convertibles on the platform are Miatas, Mustangs, Camaros, even Mini makes a convertible, but really there's all different types of convertibles out there. Convertibles do very, very well. The pros to convertibles are high daily rates. Typically lower mileage. People are usually like kind of cruising around. They're not necessarily going on long trips with convertibles. It's really best for beach areas or scenic areas or tourist areas or warm climates, and very low damage claims as far as for convertibles. These are typically, people that are renting the vehicle by themselves or maybe a couple, and so they're low on cleaning, a lot of cleaning as well. Now, the cons of the convertibles are really, it's just slow in the winter or cold climates, and so, they really don't rent that well during that season. Next category is large luxury sedans, and this whole group would be considered, our first group was economy, those economy vehicles. The next group would be considered premium. I would put it in sports cars, convertibles, luxury sedans as premium vehicles. These are vehicles that you're going to get higher daily rates for. Luxury sedans, popular ones would be the BMWs, the Mercedes, the Cadillacs, Audis. What's the pros to these luxury vehicles? Well, you can really probably write this list yourself. Very high daily rates. They get very high daily rates comparative to the other vehicles we've mentioned. High cash flows. It attracts a lot of business travelers like these type of vehicles, and so you get some really, really good clients. Unfortunately, you also get some really, really bad clients, especially if you're near some of the inner city areas as far as that goes. Other negatives with this type of vehicle is very high maintenance costs. Anytime you're dealing with the luxury sedan market, you get very high maintenance costs. And the big one that really tends to hurt people is depreciation. So luxury vehicles, sedans especially, very high depreciation. Next category would be luxury SUVs, and it really has all the same pros and cons to the luxury sedans, except in the pro category, you could also add that they actually rent more, higher utilization for the luxury SUVs, even more than the sedans. On the flip side, they're a lot more cleaning up because they're typically, it's not just going to be a single renter, business renter. This is the category that many new hosts get in trouble with, because they start renting the vehicle, they start bringing lots of cash flow, but they're not really calculating their depreciation on the vehicle, damage claims, how that affects the depreciation of the vehicle. And the big one is they're not able to calculate their mechanical and repair costs. So when these vehicles break, they can be very, very expensive. Try to get these type of vehicles certified. If you can get a certified vehicle where they give you a long warranty that you don't have to pay extra for. Some of these luxury vehicles, the extended warranty can cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for extended warranty. You want to try to stay away from that. If you can buy the vehicle certified, Like something like a Porsche will give you unlimited certified miles, and that's really great. Next category, still in the premium category, would be EVs. EVs are getting very, very popular. This category is growing exponentially. Pretty much every single brand, with the exception of maybe Toyota, has their own EVs coming out, and so it's growing. The pros to this market or this category is there's less competition. So whatever vehicle you decide to choose, with the exception of Tesla, I'm going to use that. That's going to be a separate category because it really is separate from all the other EVs. Is whatever vehicle you get, there'll be fairly limited competition of that specific vehicle on the platform. So you're going to get a lot of renters. A big pro is you're going to get a lot of renters who maybe are curious about that specific EV and they want to try it out. These are premium renters. They pay top dollar, and usually they're very careful with the vehicle as far as that goes. So with the EVs, more pros is high daily rates. You can get, premium luxury vehicle rates on these vehicles. They're very low maintenance. That's a big pro. Oil changes, brake pads, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. You also get some really intelligent, educated guests. These are people who've done their research, and typically they're really good, great, high quality guests, and they pay top dollar for your unique special EV. The cons, okay, along with those really smart, intelligent, educated guests, you also get some incredibly dumb, I hate to use that word, but these are people who really have no knowledge about electric cars, and they don't do any planning when they're planning on taking the car. I had a guest wanted to rent my Tesla, which is a standard range Model 3, and drive it from here all the way to Wisconsin, and they were going to save all this money on gas. They're trying to pack their trip there and back within 3 days. And I explained to him that's really not the best vehicle for that. Next, the cons are much more explaining. Typically, these newer EVs, besides Teslas, you're going to do a lot more explaining and really have to have some good instructions for guests, because each manufacturer has their own unique things that they try to add to their cars, but it actually just makes things very complicated for people who are not familiar with that type of a car. Higher depreciation. Now, this is a concern for EVs. You're going to get into the EV game. The best way to do it is to buy a new popular vehicle, keep it for about a year, get your EV tax credit, rent it for a year, and then get rid of it, because after 2-3 years they depreciate very, very quickly. Or buy one used, 2 or 3 years old, it's already depreciated 40, 50, 60%, and then you can get a good value on that, and you still get the benefits of the low maintenance costs and all that. Next, charging network can be an issue. You got to deal with renters that are drive it all the way down to very low, possibly run out of charge and have your car stranded, that kind of issue. So EV vehicles, I don't recommend this for brand new hosts, but veteran hosts can do very well in this category. I've done well in this category. Teslas, okay, this is separate from the EV category because it's a really different. Teslas have been on the platform since Turo was beginning, so there's a lot of experience in renting Teslas on the platform. The benefits of Teslas, some of the lowest maintenance costs in the business. Teslas also have an outstanding charging network, so they're some of the easiest for guests to rent and actually go on longer trips. So there's a little bit less concern about them finding a place to charge that's going to work and running out of battery, although it still happens. Lower depreciations typically, okay? Now, I'm saying this understanding that the last 6 months, massive depreciation on Teslas because of Tesla lowering their costs. Several videos I've done on that. You should watch those videos. But right now, purchasing now, even new or pre-owned, I'm waiting for the new models to come out. If you can buy, you can find great deals on pre-owned ones because they're not going to be able to sell them with the new low cost. So now is actually a good time to buy Teslas as opposed to a year ago where the prices were sky high. So typically, if you can get a good deal on a Tesla now, the depreciation should be fairly good. The cons, there's lots of competition. Make sure there's not too much competition in your area. Cons, damage claims can be more extensive and take more effort because body shops and so forth. Next category, trucks. Trucks I call these next 4 categories specialty categories. They're outside of the premium or above the premium market, And these are specialty categories. Trucks. I like trucks. I've always had 1 or 2 or 3 trucks on the platform, and it does a couple things for me. But the pros to trucks are their needs and want base. You have some people who need the truck for certain things, some people who just want to drive the truck, so that's great. High daily rates, low depreciation, a good spike in rentals during the winter time. If you have those winter months where you're thin, consider adding 1 or 2 trucks to your fleet. Can help out on those winter season. The cons, higher percentage of damage claims. Big vehicles, some people who are not used to driving trucks can damage them. They're slightly lower utilization than the other vehicles we've mentioned. You also tend to have some off-road or towing issues. Turo doesn't want people towing on the platform, so you're gonna have a lot of people asking you to tow different things. That can be an issue. We can talk about another time how to get around that and so forth. Next category, 3-wheelers. The most popular ones is the Polaris Slingshot. Very popular, lots of Slingshots on the platform. Another underrated one is the Vanderhaul, which is a very cool vehicle. These type of vehicles have some strong pros and some strong cons. The pros are insanely high daily rates. I've seen these things daily rent for $200, $250, sometimes up to $300 a day, depending on the area. They're very high ROI because they're low cost. They don't need airbags and all that kind of stuff, the safety equipment, because it's 3 wheels. Cash cows, they work great in scenic areas and tourist areas. The cons, weather dependent. You can't really rent them in rain or snow or winter time or anything like that. They're very, very seasonal, weather dependent. You're going to get a lot of 1-day rentals, a few and 2-day rentals. You're not going to get like week-long rentals of these vehicles typically. Storage issues, they're harder to keep outside. Helmet issues could be an issue as far as that goes. Next category, classic cars. Classic cars would be outstanding ROI, high daily rates, low mileage rentals. The cons are you got to get them Turo approved. So you have to get a special exemption to list them on the platform. I don't really have a lot of experience in this. I don't know exactly what goes into it, but I know hosts that have gotten dozens of classic and older cars on the platform. If you have good, you can prove that the vehicle is a reliable vehicle. And that brings us to cons. More cons is mechanical breakdown issues. Obviously, when you're dealing with vehicles that are 15, 20 years old, storage issues can be an issue. Typically, these type of vehicles, you may want to try to keep inside, so that can be a challenge. Next category is exotic rentals, and this is the sexiest category. People always want to get in the Turo business and kind of fast track to this category. This is the Lambos, the McLarens, the Rolls Royce, the Ferraris. This is the exotic category. And the pros of the exotic category, insanely high daily rates. Daily rates typically range from $400 to, for like the older type of exotics, all the way up to $1,500 a day for unique, special, expensive vehicles. Limited competition. There's going to be some, but typically this is a hard category to get into for the commoner, and so you'll have limited competition. High cash flow. These bring in massive amounts of cash flow in the right areas. Higher value clients most of the time, and high credibility. So if you want to use the Turo platform to be able to, establishes you high credibility as a successful entrepreneur or whatever you're trying to go for. What are the cons? Okay, the cons to the exotic rentals are credit and, finance issues. So these vehicles are a little bit more challenging to finance. You really have to have a strong credit profile. You typically got to have a lot of cash down or a lot of equity into a vehicle. And you have to have you have to show to banks, especially in this climate, that, you're able to finance higher end vehicles and have some experience in that. So they're a little bit more challenging to get the cash for these vehicles properly. Now, you can rent or purchase certain vehicles at extremely high rates, but obviously that's not what we're talking about. We want a standard lower type rates so the business can be profitable. High maintenance costs. This is a big issue with the exotics. Exotic cars, many of them can cost thousands of dollars just to change the oil. So you got to be able to do that yourself or find a really economical mechanic as far as that goes. you get a certain percentage. Many of your renters are going to be of means and good renters, but you're going to get that 20% of really bad renters that are going to thrash the car. They're going to cause damage by taking pictures, sitting on the hoods, that kind of stuff, and that can cause big bucks, big challenges to the cost of the vehicle. That leads us into depreciation issues. So when you have accidents or damage claims, especially something that shows up on the Carfax, that can drastically change the value of an exotic car. In addition to that, mileage can change the value of an exotic car. So, exotic cars really hold their value when the miles are low. You start racking up miles, and that really can change the value. A better option for most Turo hosts is what I call almost exotic cars. These are not exotic cars, but they're almost, and cars that fit in this category would be C8s, Jaguar F-Types, 911s, that style of car, the higher end sports cars, but not quite exotics. And the pros to these are very simple: high daily rates, not insanely high, but high daily rates, many times, $250, $300 a day, sometimes high utilization, higher utilization than the exotics. They also are easier to get financing from, and as far as that goes, and much more lower maintenance costs on these type of vehicles. Now, the negatives to these type of vehicles, there's really not a lot of negatives other than damage claims. Because it's a sports car, they sit low. They're going to have some damage claims. You're going to have some people that are going to thrash the cars, but the cars are made to be driven. So that's my exhaustive list. Hopefully this is helpful. What did I miss? Let us know in the comments if this is helpful, and we got more content like this to come. Thanks, guys.